Hi there, I'm Paul. I'm Lee. We play for a band called Snowing Dancer. We are here to promote our new single called Birds Above My Bed, and you are watching the concerts that made us.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and that cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concerts.com.
Paul and Lihan, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Nice to be here. What's up, Brian? How you doing?
Good. I'm looking forward to diving into your music now over the next bit. Now, first off, after a 9-year hiatus, Snowing Down South is back with a new single, Birds Above My Head. First off, why was now the right time to make a comeback?
It kind of happened naturally. We've had we have a small following from back in the day. Many of them friends, but yeah, like it's always been a question that comes up. It's like, what are you doing? Is Snowing ever doing anything? So yeah, it's been coming and after 7 years, we noticed that people are still bringing it up. And yeah, we listened to some of the stuff from back then, and we thought, okay, well, we still don't have time, but now we're going to make some time. So yeah, just basically just change the approach, make it more sustainable. Basically, chill, enjoy it. Is it fun? Let's do what's fun, right?
For the love of playing in a band.
Yeah,
The
basically.
love of
I like it. I like it. Now, I know there's going to be some listeners and viewers wondering, why did you go on hiatus in the first place? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, I think, to speak broadly, it's just young guys not handling business well. Um, yeah, life just kind of knocked. Our drummer was the first one to say, "Hey guys, listen, I got some stuff I want to figure out." Like we were young, like 21. Yeah, we started when we were 21. So I think it was actually perfect. Just focusing on other things for basically 8 years and coming back. And yeah, we've learned a lot and it's really satisfying. Like going over all of it with a bit of a matured taste, I guess. Yeah.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Now, the track Birds Above My Bed, take us deeper into it. It was wrote, am I right, 10 years ago?
Yeah. At the time, yeah, I was living in a little room with a bed basically as big as my room. So yeah, actually, I haven't thought about this a while. So when we wrote that, two of my friends were sitting on my bed playing guitar. Yeah, figuring it out. I think it was we had like a big old 12 string, and the riff just stuck. It's just yeah, it's just one of those. And it's the first song we went back to. Like, what are the old songs we need to do justice to? That was the one that just came up. And it was surprising to see that we still actually like it. I think it's a good test for a song, right? If you still like it after like what, 9 years, like
Hmm.
yeah, probably do something.
Absolutely. Was there anything you needed to change to bring it into 2024, or is it exactly as it was?
I think, yeah, I think that's one of the nicest thing about taking a hiatus is because like when we started playing again after all those years, like you said, like you mentioned, we really like that one. And there's we call it the bridge part of the song. We kind of added that because we felt like it had like more of a value. and it kind of glued the whole song together, made it like perfect for us. So I think, taking that break from music basically gave us the inspiration to write again and then to work on that specific part that can bother.
And it was very overcomplicated.
Yeah.
When we listened back to the old recordings, the biggest problem was, why are you guys stopping? Like, why are you doing all these stops?
Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So that's basically what changed. We just basically took out a bunch and added one part, and it's like, okay, it doesn't stop. That's the new rule. No stops.
Never stops.
Yeah.
It's a good motto. And you guys, you took a very unconventional approach to recording. Can you speak to us about the recording process?
Yeah. So basically, I don't know what your knowledge about plugins is these days. Like, I'm new to it. Like, so yeah, we realized that that warm sound we like, it's able to get that we're able to get that at home, like with the proper plugins. Like, I think that really opened things up. So we have a drummer. He's got an agency called Blank. So they do a lot of marketing, online marketing in South Africa. So he basically incorporated us into Blank. So he's using a lot of the resources he has for that business to basically travel and record. Like, we set up wherever we can, friends. I'm just going to close this. Sorry. No.
Um, it's kind of noisy outside. Um, we like to do it ourselves. Like we I think it's like a blessing that we have. We have this knowledge about it from years back, and kind of like to do things our way, and take time with each song.
I think that's the important word, is time.
Time.
You listen to the stuff, you add stuff, you take some time, you listen again, and things come up naturally. Like, it's a fun process that I don't think you'll be able to have if you sit with a producer. It's like, you're on the clock, you're in the studio. So yeah, I guess I guess it's being untight, right?
I like it. I like it. Kind of relaxed fit. Very, very good. Very good. And when it came to actually recording production, is there any kind of standout, memorable moments for you guys that you can share with us?
Yeah. I think, like, just with new technology, right, you don't really need a proper sound booth, but you still have to get really creative with how you set up. So yeah, I'll say Jonathan, our friend, he used his closet basically to record the vocal in the closet. Like I said, there's no noise on the mic, so it worked, and we're really happy. But if you go back, it looks like chaos, right? Things are taped together, like using closets. Like, there's certain times that you can't record because you're basically doing it like in a normal place where normal people have to work. So, yeah, no, it was interesting. Like, I think the studio is obviously a better setup, but I think the chaos is kind of fun.
Mm.
Yeah. Set up and go.
Yeah.
You
Also,
know,
sorry, we recorded like for us, it's like a way of traveling. And I think something that really stands out about that is because we do it together, we would like go to a friend's house in December, in summer, and then we would stay next to the beach. And like while we're not recording, we go to the beach, do things like that. So it's like a holiday and a recording session in one.
we're lucky. We know a bunch of weird people. Work at weird times. So it's fun. Like, there's a lot of people who supported us. Like,
Mm.
we kind of share it a bit with them as well. Well, I hope it feels like that to them.
I have to say now, you're making me jealous with this, recording and then going to the beach. It sounds like heaven, you know?
It really is. It's like it's a holiday, and yeah, like I said, you get to stay with your friends, take some time, record.
It is basically our holidays, but we
Yeah,
take holiday from work, right? It's not good for your job, but well done. You feel alive. Like it really feels like can't believe we're doing this at 33. Right?
Mm.
It's I never would have imagined doing this with my life at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha. And looking to the future, then, you guys, you have an upcoming EP, No Such Place as Far Away. Can you tell us what we can expect from it?
Yeah. Like basically we have the one oldest song that we're going to record, and I think there's one more that he wrote called Modern Tease. So yeah, it's basically going to be a bit of a blend of the older, like we were very inspired by indie, like the indie boom, like Kings of Leon, Arctic Monkeys. So there's going to be a bit of that, and also a bit of the more alternative side. Like we really like, for example, Billy Clyro, Billy Talent, and Foles. I don't know if you know Foles. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, basically incorporating a bit of funk into the music is the idea. Yeah, a bit of funk, a bit of like alternative vibes. So it's going to be a bit of a mix. But yeah, that is basically what you can expect.
nice, nice. And when can we expect it? When will it be out, do you think?
We're looking at middle next year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to release another single in January called Take It or Leave It. Yeah, it's very much in the same vein as Birds Above. So, yeah, we take it single from single. We're basically finishing up mixing now. Then we'll do the next one. Hopefully, we'll suddenly get two more in. That's the idea.
And we also like we because we do everything ourselves, we so it that includes like the recording, but we also our bassist is a great designer. So we like to make like a whole product for our fans. So we like to make like a let's say for example a lyric book or something like that that he designs. So we like to create like a complete package for our viewers, and then it takes a bit longer. Um, but yeah, I think that's one of the nicest things is everything that we do, we kind of like this is our brand.
Yeah, I guess the idea of no such place is far away. It's like it's this little book I've been carrying around. I don't have it on me. It's a little book with illustrations, and it's basically like, yeah, man, you're always going to see your friends again. Like the real friends, the real people you love are always going to be there. So I think it's kind of it adds nicely like to like coming back together, right? And we go our separate ways, but we're still focusing on it. So yeah, hopefully it's next year.
Yeah.
That is the idea.
We aim for middle next year.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Something to look forward to. So, right, the podcast is called Concerts That Made Us. So I have to ask you some concert related questions. First off, as a concert goer, what concerts would you say have made you?
Right, yeah.
Mm, for me, it would be we played a quite a big concert. It was earlier this year in the month of May, and it was called Milk Fest, which translates to Milk Fest. um, it yeah, it was really cool. It stand out for me, especially because it was quite a big outdoor concert, and it was our first one of our first gigs, like playing after all those years. So it was kind of stressful at the same time.
Terrifying. It's like it was terrifying.
But I think the way that we handled it and just like got up onto that stage and just performed and enjoyed it, that feeling,
Mm.
stands out a lot to me.
Yeah.
So
And it also
be that way.
it also depends on like, do you mean like the concerts that we watched growing up or the
Yeah.
concerts that we've done?
Oh.
Yeah, so interesting. Like, no, it's good. It's good. Like one of the first big ones was a DVD. I don't know if you also had the what was it, the Live in Texas, Lincoln Park?
It sounds
Lin-
vaguely familiar, all right.
Lincoln Park had this Live in Texas thing, and yeah, I bought the CD with the DVD, and like I was just like amazed by how like similar they sound live. Like that was the first time that I realized, oh, like performing is incredible, right? Like, yeah, I think we didn't really have big concerts growing up. That's like we had local acts. I think the first really good bands that we saw were Fok of Politica back in the day, like Van Cartel. And that was our first introduction to like really talented people like performing.
Um, Sorry, just to answer that question, and um, my dad used to watch a lot of like DVDs, like when I grew up, and something like the Fleetwood Mac show, the famous show that they had in Sydney.
Yeah.
Like he had that DVD, and it's something that really stood out for me. Um, Also, yeah, like he mentioned, we don't have a lot of international acts that come, but things that stand out for me were Foo Fighters was amazing, and Kings of Leon was also truly mind blowing to see.
Yeah, those guys really live up to their name.
Yeah.
Like, you can't imagine what it's like being there because it's bands you listen to for 20 years and then you finally see them. You're like, oh, this is even better. Like, I saw Lincoln Park as well. They were here. And yeah, just like it's performance art, man. Like, I don't know how people keep it up. And still, yeah.
Yeah, true, true. And if we dive back to your early years, growing up, what kind of music were you, introduced to, exposed to, and how do you think it influenced your later sound?
So I think both of us have dads that are really into 60s music,
Mhm.
so with very specific taste. For me, it was um, the Beatles, like the Moody Blues, Bob Dylan, um, yeah, basically folk, and then Deep Purple came in eventually. So I kind of went through the 60s and ended up in the 70s. Like, yeah, man, like just driving to Cape Town with my dad, listening to all tapes of, the 60s and the 70s. And you don't even know the names of the songs. Like, you have to like research it. I'm still finding like the music we listen to.
Mm.
Yeah. I think, what did you listen to?
I I have this weird thing where I kind of uh, I tell people that I meet or younger people these days, like I feel like I have a superpower in the sense that I grew up with three older siblings, and all of them listen to different things. And my dad is a big music lover, so he listened to a lot of Stones and the Beatles and CCR. And so we had that growing up, but all of my siblings, they were like 90s kids, and they listened to things like Rage Against the Machine and Nirvana and alternative
That's
music.
stuff I never knew about, right? Yeah.
And I feel like I grew up with listening to all these different genres of rock music, and I feel like, yeah, I feel like it's a blessing. It's an ultimate blessing to be exposed to so many different genres from a very young age. And yeah, I think that's kind of what formed me.
I don't think there's any of us who didn't have, for example, that Eminem CD. Like, what was it, like Curtain Call? Like,
Yeah,
man, like sometimes I forget. Like, I love rock and roll, but man, that Eminem CD was it was the best entertainment you can get.
absolutely. Absolutely. You're actually after making me remember. I even had a copy of it. I completely forgot that. I feel like I'm going to dig
Yeah,
it out now and listen to it later today.
12, like that slaps. Like I'm listening to it again, it's like, yeah, it's like really melodic, it's entertaining, it's expressive. Like,
I think also when when we were into high school and when we really developed a love for music, at that time things like MTV was booming on TV. So you would turn on the TV and you would listen to like MTV in the afternoons after coming home from school, and they would play like still in those days they would still play like alternative music.
yeah, My Chemical Romance was a thing, hey?
Yeah.
The Black Parade time, you
Yes.
remember that, right? Like it was
Yeah, actually.
massive. Like, yeah, it's impossible not to be influenced by it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I still love it. Like I'm not scared to say I had an emo. Basically, we're tiptoeing around. Really, really, like I mean, AFI, My Chemical Romance. What else? Chevelle.
Mm.
Um,
Really cool.
yeah, Evanescence. Even it was an Evanescence phase. Like, yeah, we went through it now. Like,
Yeah, yeah. You know what? You really have to bring me back to that time though, of when MTV was like out there and it was what it's supposed to be. Nowadays,
mm,
though, with the absence of MTV playing music videos, stuff like that, when we were growing up the way it was, what bands do you think are out there now that kind of give younger audiences the feelings we would have had back then?
that's a very good question, man. You can start with that one.
Um, I would say like we really love bands like Queens of the Stone Age and Arctic Monkeys and Foo Fighters. So for me, actually, I would say any of those bands. Like if they, I mean, they're still playing shows.
Yeah, I mean, the
Mhm.
shows are just that good. Like, if you're going to attend a show, like, it doesn't matter how old you are, you're going to remember that. So basically, the bands who've got it where it counts, right? They're still performing like it counts. There are more modern examples that I feel like there's a band called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Like, I don't know if you know them.
Yeah, I've heard the name already. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an insane band, and I find it very interesting the way they interact with their audience. Like their audience like participates in their songwriting, and I think it's not our approach, but it's kind of interesting to see. It's
Mm.
very interactive. Like they're making 10 albums a year. Like, it's very, like I said, very modern. It's a bit intimidating for us, but yeah, it's cool to see people making it work. You know,
Mm.
Yeah.
like weird shit. Yeah.
With the current climate, like musically in general, I would give credit to any band that still plays after 10 years because I
Yeah,
think it's so much
an actual band, right?
more difficult in 2024, but they still keep on going. So
And
I think,
if you guys saw that, where they checked out the number of actual bands being in the top 100 or top 200 or whatever, and it's just really low. It's not a thing. Bands are not a thing, it seems,
Yeah.
when it comes to the charts and stuff.
which is kind of sad.
It's bad. Yeah. Yeah.
It is, yeah. It's really gone more so, pop and pop dance and that sort of music nowadays. Like rock music, indie, it's not at the forefront at all like it used to be. I'm just hoping it's like a circle and maybe another 5 years that will be the dominant
Yeah.
genre.
Yeah.
We had like the whole Arctic Monkeys did that AM album, and it was interesting to see them incorporate the hip hop with
Mm.
indie music,
Mm.
but it also feels like you can only do that so much. At the end of the day, people need to go to that different campfire and listen to that very specific kind of music. Uh, it's still really big. It's just in the play. It's just like you said. It's just not in the forefront. Like it's massive. Like you talk to people, right? You hear
Yeah.
like
Something really nice or refreshing to see is luckily in Europe and in the UK and in Europe, there's still like a healthy scene, for rock music and concerts. And yeah, that's something, you just wish you can go experience.
all that you can experience it here, right? Yeah. This subculture, I guess, that they have. I see a lot of post-punk going around. I love it. I don't understand why that's popular now, but I love it. It's difficult to say why the 90s now, right? I guess,
True,
yeah.
true. And speaking of gigs, out of all the gigs that you guys have played over your career, even back in the day, is there one that sits above the rest that, it just couldn't have got any better?
Hmm. I'll have to think for 1 second. So yeah, like we were very lucky. Like when we were young in Potchefstroom, like we came into like one or two very good venues. So I'd say we played a show with Fokov Belisika in a place called Memphis Rock. And it's not the biggest show, it's like 1,500 people, but that place was packed. The crowd knew exactly what they were getting into. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Like it's the last time I can remember like being a part of a rock show like that, where just very receptive, warm, intimate. I guess that combination is the sweet spot for me. Yeah, the bigger ones are like too nerve-wracking.
I
Yeah.
I would say this might sound like a cliche, but the first show we had, um,
Yeah.
more specifically, same as his reason, more for the experience. So our first show, not that I can remember a lot of it, but it was like a house party. It was one of our friends. He had a house party. And we just rocked up there with our amps, our
We
drum.
had like a band camp.
Yeah.
So the full story, if you want to hear it. So we had like a band camp. Like thinking back, it's bizarre. We literally took like I think 2 weeks. We went to a lodge in a place called Bella Bella, and we practiced our ideas for 2 weeks, like these acoustic ideas. We had amps and drums, and after 2 weeks, we had a set.
Mm.
And yeah, it was very unexpected. Like it just kind of happened. And then our friend, who's quite popular where he lives, like he had many, he was a younger guy, many friends, and he just organized a massive house party. And yeah, we went full out. And
Missed that feeling.
yeah, playing a house party is probably, oh, another one is that we played a wedding. Uh, like as going down south, not like a cover band. Like the guy appreciated the music and he wanted us to play his wedding. Yeah, I remember like we played the what is it, the first dance or whatever. We did that. And yeah, that's special. I think
Mm.
those are the best experiences, always the intimate ones, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Bit of a fun one now. Maybe back in the early days, is there a show you would consider the worst? Everything just went wrong, and how did you guys overcome it?
I'm going to use the Ron Fontaine one. I don't know if you've. Yeah, I'm not speaking ill of Ron Fontaine. Please don't come at me. But I'd say the place is not exactly like known for being an alternative crowd. And we played a gig there. Like also a friend was very happy to organize a gig for us. And we said, okay, cool, we'll go. Thanks for helping us. We had an inkling that it wasn't going to end well. We said, okay, man, if you say it's cool, then it's cool. We'll go. And when we started our set, it was like, I'd say, an older crowd. They were expecting Fleetwood Mac and CCR, and we're not that at all. And yeah, I just remember like an old guy sitting at the bar just with his middle finger up,
Come on.
with his back to us. And yeah, I remember eventually we did play them some CCR, right? Yeah. So we said, okay, fine. You want to fucking hear CCR? He started played up some CCR, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we kind of won them over eventually. But yeah, that was a really like horrible experience, but still not. I still remember it fondly. Like the worst ones are the ones where you just don't get paid, like where
Yeah.
like literally like you just feel like, oh, like wow. It's more of a symbolic thing, right? It's like it feels like you're doing something worthwhile if people respect you and pay the agreed amount. And if they don't, you feel really, yeah, you feel down. Like, what are we doing anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are definitely the worst.
There's not one that really stands out for me at the moment.
No, I have a few.
There's,
That's the problem. I have a few. Yeah, so I'll generalize and say the worst one was getting like the middle finger, like especially not even turning around to do it, just sitting
Yeah.
back, sitting like, yeah. That's the one that pops up. But, yeah, the other ones are not fun. They're just depressing, not getting
Mm.
paid. Nah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get you. I get you. Right. And when it came to showtime, then, what was your pre-show and your post-show rituals? How did you psych yourselves up? And then afterwards, how did you like to wind down?
Okay. Luckily, we're in a space where I think we can talk about this without getting prosecuted. We we used to get really high before shows. Like we always had this idea where, at least we're in our own world. We're going to vibe no matter what's going on. And it's a bizarre approach because we were so nervous. No, not the tightest musicians in the world, but we think we've got a vibe. And yeah, before the show, you just get so stoned that you don't even care where you are. Like you're just in your own little bubble. Um, yeah, I think drinking was also a big part of it. Like we used to party, like it was fun. But actually, to come back from the question from earlier, it's really fun going in a bit cleaner, I guess. Like, yeah, it takes a long time to separate the music from the party, you know.
Yeah.
That was the biggest challenge, is just
Mm.
making it as like as you are. Yeah,
Now
You're
it's just to take it as chill as possible before the show and after the
yeah,
show,
yeah.
just to relax, enjoy it,
So you can be well
enjoy it.
prepared. Like we realized, like, many I've heard people say as well, like they drink a shot before they play it after the nerves. Probably go and practice. Like it will probably make you even less nervous. Like
Mm.
be prepared. It's like speeches, right? Or anything. Just if you're prepared, you'll be okay. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. And before we dive into the last couple of questions, then future plans. We've heard about the EP. Is there anything else you can share with us? Any gigs coming up?
yeah, so gig wise, we're still just focusing on recording at this point. We were planning a bunch of gigs in December, but now we might do a gig in Joburg. We've got a few venues that I think will probably not mind having us there. So we're going to be moving back inland to Arch. So we'll probably end up at Joburg in February. That is like the loose plan. It's all about being flexible at this point. That's how you make a band work with a full-time job, right?
Now we're focusing on the recording, but our drummer is also not in South Africa at the moment. So when he comes back in January, we just if we get a show, we take it. We just play.
Yeah,
But very few.
yeah. I think the focus is getting like, it's not to sound like maybe like I'm coping about. But yeah, we've played shows like even like personally, like we enjoy like performing and we've done it like throughout. Like we've always been playing shows every now and then. And yeah, at this point I think it's just getting those songs down. It's like a big priority. Like yeah, yeah. It's the thing that keeps you up at night, right? If you don't. Like
True.
I need to record that song. Like basically, you don't want to lose the ideas, right?
Mm.
Because that happens all the time. Like, there's so many things that we just never got around to recording, and now, well, I'm not playing it again, so it's lost. Yeah.
True. True. Right. We'll dive into the last couple. There are a couple of fun random ones. First off, besides music and the band, what are you guys currently obsessed with?
Go for it. There's like it's easy for him.
Dota 2, a computer game. We've been
Right.
playing it for so many years,
Yeah,
but games in general.
yeah.
I'm quite obsessed with computer gaming. That's
So it's interesting. We have two gamers. Like he likes the online stuff. I like single player stuff, stories, nice music. Then we have a bassist who's basically, I call he's the athlete in the band. Like he can hit a golf ball until you don't see it. Uh, like we've got a drummer that's basically, what would you call it? Well, he's traveling all over the world. He's mixing songs. He's doing marketing. Like, yeah, I gotta say, like we've got some interesting people. I think we're probably the two boring ones. We just
games.
have
Games.
games, and I'm like taking walks like an old man.
Have to ask, are you guys excited for Grand Theft Auto?
Yes, I am.
I am as well. How about you?
Oh, I can't wait. I'm already thinking of ways I can book a month off of life in general just to sit there and play it when it comes out, if it ever comes
We
out.
still, you also like games, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You also
I'm
awesome.
very
Yeah,
weird though. I don't really play new games. I find myself playing like old games from like 10 years ago. And then in 10 years' time, I'll play the games from now, you know? I'm a bit
Yeah,
backwards.
exactly. It stood the test of time. I mean, I'm obsessed with Red Dead Redemption 2. Like
Me
that
too.
was literally, yeah, my life stood still. Like I was aware of it. It was coming. Like I pre-ordered all of it. You know, it came. I still play it from time to time. Like that's basically the pinnacle of gaming for me. Like just atmosphere. It's art, right? It all comes together. Nice music, nice like atmosphere,
Mm.
nice dialogue, story. Like what more could you want? Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm actually more excited for the sequel to that than Grand Theft Auto, but I know we have to wait probably about
Yeah,
15 years.
horror movies are another thing. Like personally, I'd say that Stephen King is very like ingrained in everything I do. Just that
Mm,
style of horror and character building. Like I've always had this idea where you should kind of hear it in the music a little bit. Like yeah, it's always in the back of my mind when I'm making something
mm.
like this 80s classic horror vibe, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I like it. The next question, it's a bit strange. If you had to spend 24 hours locked in a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
That's easy for me. It's a bit of a it's a it used to be John Lennon, but then I heard like Noel. I think it's Noel Gallagher. He's also obsessed with them. I'm like, okay, now too many people are obsessed with John Lennon. So I think there's this songwriter called Elliott Smith.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've heard of Elliott Smith. Yeah, it's his playing, it's his demeanor, like yeah, just the way how honestly he wrote. Because there's a bunch of them. Amy Winehouse was another one. Somebody who's just really the honesty is just scary, like how willing those artists are. So I guess maybe I just said it. Maybe Amy Winehouse, maybe Elliott Smith, one of those.
Well,
Yeah.
just
Sure. That's a tough question. Nice one. Um, I would say for me, it's probably Joshua Homme
Yeah.
from
hmm,
Queens of the Stone Age. Yeah, I would go with him. Big
not a good
fan of
one.
this.
Seems really intimidating.
Hmm.
And I'm short. And he's a
You
giant.
know, to be honest, he's like a father figure for us. Like especially like on the guitar. Like
Hmm.
I think he's an awesome guitar player. I always think about him when I'm writing stuff. What would you say, Brian?
Oh man. I always say either Elvis or Jim Morrison. Probably
Oh
more so Jim
wow,
Morrison.
I think Jim Morrison is probably the most fascinating person. Oh damn,
Hmm.
Brian, you have better answers than us.
Well, I've
Yeah, Jim
heard about
Morrison.
300 answers, so
Yeah, Jim Morrison is probably the most interesting conversation you can ever have
Hmm.
with someone that used to.
I feel
Yeah,
like though you'd walk away from it more mind boggled than going in. You know, he'd confuse the
yeah,
hell out of you.
yeah. No, he's just such a massive like icon. Like I don't
Hmm.
think people get like that, like being that rock star. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, a good-looking front man with some real songwriting chops. Goodness, yeah. In that time,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And the final question, so what's your go-to album? An album you constantly revisit?
We thought about this one. So a big one for us. Arctic Monkeys did an album called Humbug. I don't
Hmm.
know if you're familiar with Humbug. It's actually Joshua Homme produced that album, recorded it as far as we know. So
Ah.
yeah, it's like chamber music. It's like chamber rock or something. You know, it sounds like it was made in the early 1900s. You know, I
Hmm.
always listen to that. I want to discover.
From Arcade Fire.
You know, an amazing album.
One of my favorites as well.
And I know some people would be really angry if we didn't mention songs for the deaf. Like it's
Yeah.
just a masterpiece. Like it's flawless. There's nothing
Hmm.
wrong with that album. Yeah, they don't make them like that anymore. I honestly feel so.
Once
Very
every
true.
Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm happy with those. Yeah.
I was actually sitting here wondering to myself, are they going to mention songs for the deaf?
Like I said, no, I was actually reminded to bring it up, by Because I mean, like every aspect of that band, like there's this YouTube video called Guitar Moves, and it's basically Joshua Homme sitting. I'm not sure what the guy's name is, but like he looks like a sailor, you know, he looks or a pirate. He's got a vibe to him, and they're sweating. You know, both of them are
Mm.
sweating. It looks really hot, and Joshua is just teaching him like his way of understanding theory. And I see people mentioning like, "Oh, this is like wrong. What are you saying?" I'm like, no, that is you understand it in your way, and he's
Mm.
amazing at applying it to his music. And yeah, I feel the same way. And it's divergent thinking. You don't need rules to be an
Exactly.
excellent artist or a musician, right? Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Listen, guys, I've thoroughly enjoyed this interview now. Thanks a million.
Thank you so much,
Ryan,
man.
it went by like nothing. Thank you so much, man.
Nice to meet you. Thank
You
you for
too.
the time.
Welcome to the podcast, conscience that made us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and that cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us.